My Hero Academia has a surprisingly large number of autistic headcanons you could argue with it. The coolest thing being that those characters present so differently, both in terms of personality and autistic traits. And yes, I know, it was probably not intentional. TV shows have a hard enough time making one interesting autistic character, let alone multiple. Either way, I'm probably going to have multiple videos focusing on characters from the series, so I figured I'd better get started. Let's talk about Deku.
I'm Izuku Midoriya. It's super nice to meet you.
Izuku Midoriya lives in a world where almost everyone has a unique power called a quirk. Even though he was born without one, he dreams of being a hero. When his idol All Might passes his quirk onto him, he's finally able to pursue that dream. The rest of the series focuses on him training at UA High under the alias Deku. Ask anyone to tell you about Midoriya. There's a good chance the first thing out of their mouth will be something to the effect of, "He really likes heroes." His room is completely decked out with All Might merch. As a kid, he watches the same video of All Might over and over every day. Throughout his life, he's filled 13 notebooks with intricate analysis of various heroes' quirks, and believe me, we'll come back to that. Deku knows an obscene amount about heroes, even more obscure ones like Eraserhead. There's this scene where Night Eye criticizes Deku's impression of All Might because his eye wrinkles are like less than half a centimeter off, but it turns out that no, Deku knew that. He was specifically imitating the face All Might made after a rescue where he got vinegar in his eyes. I love that. Also, and I bet you right now I won't be able to find footage, but I don't care, I'm bringing it up anyway. There's this gag where Deku is so upset he didn't know All Might briefly tried a support item that he starts obsessively researching it out of guilt. If that doesn't describe someone with a special interest, I don't know what will. Regarding stimming, I've got less to talk about with Deku than other characters. He bounces and rocks back and forth, and I think you could make the argument that him rewatching the same things over and over is a visual stim. Most of these happen when he's a kid though, which to be clear doesn't make it irrelevant, but I'm not super confident about it since he seems to stop by the time he's a teenager. One thing I do want to talk about though is his muttering. There's a running joke in the series where Izuku will start whispering to himself about hero stuff and it freaks people out. Lots of autistics infodump to themselves about their special interests, even to the point of talking about the same things over and over as a verbal stim. I wouldn't personally say Deku struggles socially much besides occasionally being a little awkward or shy. I do notice though that he has a hard time figuring out when to stop talking when it comes to heroes. All Might even has to call him out on being a fanboy sometimes. Midoriya is an extremely empathetic character. He's so sensitive to the needs of other people that he'll frequently go out of his way to help them, even to the detriment of himself. Whether that be fighting while seriously injured, getting Todoroki to use his fire on him, or trying to rescue Bakugo, someone who bullied him all his life, even knowing he had absolutely no chance of winning.
What the hell? Why are you here? I don't know! My legs! They just started moving! Kamchuk! I couldn't just stand there and watch you die!
This trait gives him a strong sense of justice. When he encounters Eri, Mirio instructs him to play dumb and leave her so they can formulate a plan with the other heroes to save her. Even though doing so has a better chance of success, Deku has a hard time not jumping into action then and there, because all he can think about is that someone needs his help. A lot of autistic people experience emotions intensely to the point that they can be overloaded by their own feelings, hence why Izuku cries so much. In general, he has big reactions to most things, and if you're tempted to attribute it to My Hero being an anime, then I just want to say, yeah, fair enough, make your own judgment. Time to talk about those notebooks again. Deku is analytical to the point of overthinking. He loves to pick apart his knowledge of heroes and quirks. He even keeps notes on his classmates. Fighting style, quirk usage, and marketability are all things he takes into consideration when keeping his notebooks. He's a surprisingly quick thinker too. It's a little easy to miss since anime is known for stretching a 5-second attack out into a whole scene so the characters can monologue, but Deku can take in his surroundings and formulate a plan really quickly. Related, he picks up on small details. Early in the series, when he doesn't have a lot of fighting experience or control over his quirk, he's able to catch Bakugo off guard because he noticed every time he fights, he starts with a right hook, something I'm not even sure Bakugo noticed himself doing. Here's the thing about autistic people. Many of them are good at picking up on small things but have a hard time seeing the bigger picture. A common joke in the fandom is that it took Deku multiple episodes to figure out that he could kick people. But in this context, it actually makes sense that it would take him some extra time to realize something that might seem obvious. Now, it's entirely possible that I'm reaching with this, and if you feel the need to roast me in the comments, I understand. Anyway though, I've noticed Deku sometimes has what I think might be shutdowns. When something really upsetting or shocking happens, he'll occasionally go completely silent, stare off into space, and become totally unresponsive to the world around him. The two main examples I can think of are when he found out he was quirkless, and when he thought he failed his entrance exam. I think everyone can relate to Izuku's struggle to keep up with other people on some level. For this reason, a lot of fans find My Hero inspirational. But is it really? Yes, Midoriya has to work really hard to keep up with other people. He's not like everyone else. He has weaknesses he must cope with and strengths he has to play into. My Hero is your classic underdog story, until it's not. As much as Deku worked, the only reason he was able to achieve what he has is that All Might gave him One for All. It's doing steroids the anime. Could Deku have been a quirkless hero? Maybe. Horikoshi originally wanted him to be powerless and use support items for heroing, but that didn't happen. I'm not trying to convince anyone that they shouldn't feel uplifted by Deku. My perspective is just that God descending from the heavens to cure your disability isn't very inspiring. Nitpicking fan interpretations aside, I think Deku is a really fun headcanon. He's just a genuinely positive guy who cares about people a whole lot. He tends to present a little atypically compared to other headcanons, and I respect that. It's made all the better by the other strong autistic headcanons in My Hero, which are very diverse, and I'll get around to discussing them eventually. At the end of it, I don't think he needs to have a metaphor or be inspiring. Deku is just a kind and fun character who happens to be on the spectrum.
You know what? I like Deku. It could make a great hero name. Plus, I think it sounds kinda cute.
Deku it is!